everyone. We are going to talk about plants today. And I love talking about plants. It's springtime, so there's lots of plants and flowers that are blooming. Time to plant a garden, and there's lots to know about plants. So let's get started. Here we go. Plants. To start us out, we're going to just talk about the parts of a plant, okay? So let's start with a flower. When we think about flowers, the part that I always think about is this pretty part right at the top, right? That is what we think of when we think of flowers. But there's other parts to the flower too. So this is the flower. This long part is called the stem. There is a leaf, sometimes more than one, leaves on a flower, and roots right down here at the bottom. Now, lots of times when we talk about plants, we talk about flowers, but what about trees? Trees are plants too. So they have the same parts, but a little bigger. On a tree, we see leaves. We see little flowers sometimes. Those flowers sometimes turn into fruit on our trees. The stem of a tree is what we call the tree trunk, right? Lots of times we talk about it like a tree trunk, but that is the stem of that plant. And trees have roots. They have little roots and big roots usually because they're big trees. Okay, so trees are plants too. Let's practice the parts of our plants. So flowers, this part right here is the flower, the pretty little flower at the top. Do you see the leaf or the leaves? Here it is right over here. Very nice. What about the stem? That long straight part, there it is, stem, and the roots right down here at the bottom. Now on our tree, let's start with the roots. Do you see the roots? Right here at the bottom, the roots. What about the stem? Trickier on a tree because we think it's a tree trunk. It is, but it's also the stem of the tree, okay? Leaves, do you see the leaves? There they are, green leaves on our tree. And flowers. There's the flowers. Very nice. All right, now let's talk about each part of the plant. What do the flowers do? Well, the flowers can make the seeds and fruit on our plants. So we need seeds to plant and make more plants, right? The seeds are how plants start. So the flowers make more seeds, and sometimes they make fruit that we can eat. So let's think about what are some of the fruits that we eat that come from plants? Apples and cherries, oranges. Now, when you think about those fruits, do they have seeds? Yeah, they have seeds so that you could plant them and make more fruit. Crazy. All right, next, what do the leaves do? The leaves are the part that make food for the plant. So the leaves take the sun and the air and they turn it into food for the plant so that the plant can be healthy and grow. When you think about leaves, most of the time we don't eat the leaves, but lettuce is actually a leaf. And we eat lettuce. Did you know you were eating leaves? The stem. The stem is like the straw of the plant, okay? So the water is going to come from the roots, but the stem is the straw that carries the water all the way up to the flower and the leaves of the plant to help them grow. Okay, so it's kind of like a straw. Now, this is fun. Did you know when you eat celery, that's actually the stem of the plant? So you're eating the stem of the celery plant. Crazy. Roots. The roots are the part, they go down into the soil or the dirt, And sometimes we don't even see the roots because they're buried underneath in the dirt or the soil. They soak up the water, and then that water goes through the stem to get to the plant so that the plant is not thirsty. Okay, plants need water, and so that's what the roots are for, to help soak up that water and get it to the plant so it's not thirsty. Now, some of the plants that we eat, when we eat carrots and when we eat potatoes, those are actually the roots of their plant. They grow underground, and then we pull them up and we eat them because they're delicious. But those are actually the roots of their plant. Tricky. All right, let's see if you remember which part is which. So let's start with the flower. Do you see the flower? There it is. Do you see the leaves? The leaves that soak up the sunshine for our plant? There they are. What about the stem? The stem is the straw that carries the water. There, that looks like a straw. You're right, the stem. And of course, the roots that soak up the water. All right, we're gonna listen to a little song about the parts of a plant.
Flower, stem, leaves, and roots. Each part of the plant has a job to do. Show me each part as you sing this too. Flower, stem, leaves, and roots. Flower looks so beautiful, and it makes the seeds that start a new plant. But the petals look pretty for a reason, you see. They attract pollinators like birds or bees. Stem is the part in the middle, and it moves water up to the rest of the plant. Through the stem that water flows. It's like a straw. Watch it go. The leaves on a plant help it to breathe, and they make the air cleaner for you and me. Get set for a big word. You ready for this? They make food for the plant through photosynthesis. Pull the plant down into the ground. Underneath in the soil is where they are found. They soak up water and minerals there. They absorb stuff with their little root hairs. Flower, stem, leaves, and roots. Each part of a plant has a job to do. Show me each part as you sing this too. Flower, stem, leaves, and roots. Flower creates the seeds. Pretend you're a flower with me. The stem is like a straw. Pretend you're a stem, real tall. They make the food. Now pretend you're doing photosynthesis, all of you. Roots anchor the plant. Hold it down tight like I know you can. Flower, stem, leaves, and roots. Each part of the plant has a job to do. Show me each part as you sing this too. Flower, stem, leaves, and roots.
Good job, you guys. Okay, remember when we act that out, we do flowers, stem, leaves, and then wiggle your feet because those are the roots down at the bottom. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about what does a plant need to grow. So there's a few things that plants need to make sure that they can grow. They need sunshine. Remember we said that the leaves make the sunshine into food for our plants. They need soil. They need to be planted in soil because that's gonna help them get their food. And they need water because plants don't like to be thirsty either. They need to drink water, okay? Now, let's look at how plants grow, okay? So they have sunshine, they have water. We're going to take a seed, a little seed. We talked about those. Sometimes we see those inside of our fruits and our vegetables. We're going to take a seed and we're going to plant it in soil. Then it's going to start to grow, and we call that a little sprout. That first little part of the seed that grows, okay? Then it grows into a little bigger plant. You can see the roots getting bigger. And finally, it gets a flower. And on that flower, it grows new seeds. So you can take the seeds from the flower and plant them and then start all over again. And that is how our plants grow, okay? But don't forget, they won't grow without sunshine and water because plants need food and water just like us, okay? So let's look at how a tree grows. It's a little bit more than a little plant, but let's look at it. There's a seed to start with. That seed starts to sprout, and when the seed starts to sprout, starts to grow roots into the ground, and a little tree. When that little tree is young, it's just a kid tree. We call it a sapling. Then it grows into a tree with blossoms. Do you see the blossoms? The flowers, those little flower blossoms. Those flower blossoms turn into fruit on our tree, and inside the fruit, seeds. And then we can start all over again. Okay, so the important thing to remember is trees are just like other plants, and they're going to need sunshine and water and good soil or dirt to help them grow.
The needs of a plant. For a plant to stay alive, it needs 5 things I would not lie. It needs water so it can grow. And it needs soil just like so. Plants need space, they can't be tied. The sun helps plants by giving light. Don't forget to give plants air. Repeat the needs if you dare. Need 1, water. Need 2, soil. Need 3, space. Need 4, light. Need 5, air. Oh, plant.
All right, guys. So that's all we're going to talk about plants today. There's so much to know about plants, and they're so much fun. But one thing you can do to practice is go outside, look around, see what plants you can see. See if those plants have flowers, if they have a stem, if they have leaves. Don't pull up the plants to look for roots without your parents' permission, okay? But if it has a stem, just peek down at the bottom of the stem and see if you can see the roots. If your parents say it's okay, you could pull one out and look at the roots, okay? But remember, don't pick flowers or other plants without permission from a grown-up. Deal? Thanks for talking about plants with me today, and I hope that you have fun exploring and looking for plants outside. And maybe when you're eating your vegetables, you can look at them and try to remember, is it a root? Is it a stem? Is it a leaf? Or is it just something that grows on a plant? Because plants are awesome. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. Have fun with plants.